be making the drive into the Peppermill Poker Room from that area of town much longer. Going to be relocating to South Reno in the not-too-distant future. But the action is still here, of course. It is a Thursday night. A second game is developing. I actually don't know a lot of these names on this list, so let's see how it is. After a longer wait than expected, we finally fire up a second $5 game on Table 5 at about 4 p.m. Table 5, by the way, way better than Table 1. The play out at Peppermill, no cigarette smoke flowing in there. I win a small pot right out of the gate when I rivered trip kings and my opponent missed his flush draw. After that, though, I spent the next hour and a half completely card dead. After folding so many hands, I made the stupid decision to think that I would struggle to get action when I finally did raise. So I made it 6x with the ace-6 of diamonds. Seems like a scenario where I would probably get everyone to fold, right? Instead, I get 5 callers. I wouldn't flop anything, but would turn the nut flush draw. I'd brick out on the river and lose the hand, but I was hoping that was a good sign. The game might be pretty decent. It wouldn't take long for that to be proven true. $15 is on the button, and I have King-Jack of hearts in middle position and make it 60. Button calls. With 125 in, we get a flop of Queen 10-4, 2 diamonds and a heart, giving me an open ender. I bet 75, and the button decides to call. And with 275 in, the turn is the 9 of spades, giving us the nut straight. I bet 150 here, and he declares that he's all in for about 200 more, giving us a $975 pot, which is headed our way after we bust him. Then a $15 straddle is on my immediate right, and the player on his right calls in the under the gun 1 position. I have pocket kings in middle position, and I make it 60. Both opt to continue on. And with 185 in, the flop comes King 10-3 rainbow. Gets checked to me, and I decide to slow play this bad boy. Turn is a 6. I bet 110. Under the gun 1 folds, but not under the gun 2. And with 405 in, the river is a 7. He checks, and I decide to down bet here, making it 125 to expand the range by which he'll pay me off. He does. We have a $655 pot. I show, and he obviously mucks. My guess is that he probably had the case king. It was cool to see some freestyle skiing going on in Beijing because a Reno native was in it. My boy David Wise, looking for gold medal number 3. And even though I haven't spoken to him since he won his first gold medal in 2014, I'm still going to refer to him as my boy because what the hell. He'd go on to win silver this time around, and his return to the Reno airport, a story that I got to cover for Channel 8, was a very cool thing. Under the gun straddles 10 and gets a call. The only unknown in the game in the low jack makes it 75, and I have ace king in the big blind and realize that the low jack only has 200 left. I decide to put them all in here. I was hoping he would at least think about it, but that wasn't the case as he snap calls. So we have a $570 pot. I don't hit anything per usual, and I lose to pocket kings. I then raise ace-9 of clubs under the gun and go 4 ways to jack 6-3, 2 clubs. With 80 in, I bet 50 and only the low jack comes along. With 180 in, the turn is the king of diamonds. I bet 110, and that semi-bluff does not get the job done. With 400 in, the river is the 3 of clubs, giving me the nut flush. I considered going for the check raise, but opted for a half pot size bet instead, and he takes only a minute and mucks. Then I call a +1 raise in the low jack with King-9 of clubs. Big blind completes, and with 75 in, we see a flop of King-9-5 with 2 diamonds. To my surprise, it gets checked to me. With top 2, I bet 45. Big blind calls. Under the gun 1, a very tough opponent, check raises to 200. He's got about 600 left, so I raise it to 900, forcing the big blind out of the hand. He doesn't take too long before culling off his remaining stack here, so we have a $1,700 pot and agree to run it twice. The first board pairs 5, so if he has aces, I'm screwed. On the second board, the queen of hearts hits, so if he has king-queen, I lose there as well. But he opts never to show the hand. Throws it away, and he would later go on to tell us that he had a straight flush draw. About 40 minutes later, we get the under the gun straddle and a $30 raise from +1. A very tough opponent once again. 3 guys called that 30, and I looked down at ace queen of hearts in the big blind. Seemed like a great squeeze spot here. I just had to hope the original raiser did not have a monster. I make it 160. Big blind folds, but +1, as I feared he might, finds a 4-bet to $400. I fold the hand, and he shows ace-king of diamonds. Exactly what I did not want him to have. I then raised jacks over a limp and got 3-bet by the button, to which I called, as did one other, but a king-queen-7 flop was not what I was hoping for, so I folded to the button's flop bet. I'd play for another uneventful hour before racking up and booking the win. All right, it is 10 p.m. and I am racking up booking a $1,318 win. But if you think that's the best day that anyone in my game had, you are far from correct. As a young grinder named Nick crushed the game. And he might be up 6,000, maybe more, I don't even know. He was in absolute beast mode today. And well, he's still in there playing now, so could be a really big night for him, but I'm happy to book a much smaller win than that. It's still a very good day overall on what's been a very good month. All right, recording one final segment here in my condo that I own next to the Truckee River, not far from downtown Reno. I've owned it for the better part of 20 years and gonna be moving out. As you can see, the boxes behind me, heading to a new place, need a bigger place for my son, and you'll see that coming up here in a future vlog. Obviously, I haven't lived here the entire time I've owned it. I rented it out during that 6 years where I was a married man. But I've been back here for the last year or so, and it's time to relocate. I certainly remember thinking all the way back to my first ever days of playing poker came when I was living here in this condo, and just me wondering if I'd ever actually become profitable, wondering if I could really become a winning player, and some really dark days and emotional days that I had here in this condo on those early days of playing poker, really questioning my own decision making, but now being grateful that I got to where I got. But anyway, in lieu of a question of the week this week, I want to talk about something some of you may have already seen and some of you may have not seen. And what it is one of the most egregious slow rolls that you'll ever see. And there's an important takeaway that you can derive from it if you are a winning poker player. This happened on the Hustler live stream, which I don't always watch, but when my guy Bart Hansen is the commentator for that live stream, it's the best thing you can watch in terms of poker that's available for free out there. You're not going to find anything better. Both the quality of the stream itself and the quality of Bart's commentary are second to none right now. So I was watching that, and Garrett Adelstein, who's one of the best poker players out there today, was involved in a hand against this guy named Dylan, who I'd never seen before. But let's just take a look at what happened in this hand where Garrett ended up rivering top pair. Dylan already had a full house on the turn and made a big raise on the river. You'll see Garrett decided ultimately to call. And take a look what happened from there.
So what is he representing? Maybe threes, maybe pocket fours. Would he ever overlimp a hand like queen three suited?
He called you.
And Garrett's gonna call.
Good call.
Oh!
Just kidding.
Oh. That is definitely in poor etiquette, I will say. That is a slow roll. Dylan just became the super villain.
So Bart calls it out. that it is a slow roll, but take a look at how Garrett reacts to this. I mean, he just completely brushes this off like it's nothing. And that is the equivalent of a poker superpower, if you can get it, if you can develop it. And I'll just admit it right now, I don't think I could have done what Garrett did right there. But there's no better way to react. I mean, this was a $186,000 pot too, by the way. There's no better way you can react than the way Garrett did right there. And you know that deep inside Dylan's head, he's thinking, shit, the whole reason I did this slow roll was because I wanted to piss off the best player in the game and try to get him to play bad afterwards. And that's clearly not working. So if Garrett had gotten pissed, not only would that have been, detrimental to his own cause, it would have given Dylan exactly what he wanted out of the whole damn thing. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, and chances are you won't, because that's just a classless maneuver when it comes to the slow roll. And most poker players out there, I think, are actually classy enough not to do that. But if something like that were to happen to you, you should watch what Garrett did on that hand and do exactly the same thing. There was a guy that played at Peppermill years ago, and I always wonder about this guy. His name was Justice. And I have no idea what ever happened to him, but I was always so impressed by his ability to just brush off tilt like it was nothing and continue playing. He was the best I ever saw at it at Peppermill. Some of you guys that play here will know who I'm talking about, but it's always something that I've wished I could be better at. And I've gotten better at over the years, but I'm still not nearly as good as Garrett showed right there. And I'm sure most people aren't. So try to learn from that, and it'll definitely help your poker game. By the way, I mentioned Bart Hansen, and that he's the absolute best. If you want to learn more from what he has to offer, do what I did and go to crushlivepoker.com. You can get 25% off a basic or premium subscription to CLP for life just by using the promo code BENDEACH. Weekly training videos are as good as you're going to find in terms of content that you can consume whenever you want to. And then the weekly podcast as well are something that has just become a part of my life, and I would never want to not have them because there's always great takeaways. And Bart actually talks more about that slow roll hand on this recent episode of the Crush Live Poker Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at BenDeach and hit those like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you back here next time.